right. Time to be showing up. Got myself some Jubilee. There's not going to be beer in every single video, I promise. But this time of year, I am enjoying my Jubilee. Anyway, this week was fairly frustrating for me because I didn't do any actual artwork. I didn't do any practicing or study of my art because I just get bound up in writing code. It's something that just consumes all of my attention. It's my happy place. It's where I'm comfortable. It's a thing that I've done for, God, almost 50 years now. I've been writing code. And it's something that I've done so much and that I've done for so long that it's easy for me to get bound up in it and just forget to do anything else. I will forget to eat and sleep and go to the bathroom if I'm coding. So I got to figure out some way to get some balance in this thing because all I've been doing is working on the code and not doing anything related to the art. Now, I did get a lot of stuff resolved, get a lot of stuff built. Not everything, but I got some cool shit done. And I went over to Humble Bundle, and I got a fairly good bundle of of audio and royalty-free music. I'm sick. So that's why my voice is fucked up. That's why I keep coughing. Maybe the beer will help. Anyway, I need to find some kind of balance where I can get some work done on my art in addition to getting work done on the game. But man, do I just get sucked into working on the game. And like never stop working. So anyway, let's take a look at some of the stuff that I've put together over here. I'm gonna fire up the Steam export of the game, and I'll drag it on down here. And you may recall that I was trying to get a kind of infinite scroll thing going. So what I've got here is I've got 4 different tiles of the world. And these 4 different tiles of the world move around based on where you are. So if I walk all the way over here, if I walk all the way to the edge of the green section, it's going to pop the yellow section back in my way again once I get to the end of it. So I get over here, and there's the yellow section again. And in fact, if I move up, there's the blue section. And if I walk along the blue section, hey presto, right over here, we have that tree that was over there. And here's the red and the green areas. The green area still has that bush. But you'll notice that there's no enemy in here because the enemy is still back where it was. So if I go all the way back over here, if I cross the entire yellow area and get back to the red and green areas, when I get back over to where the bush is, then we're gonna have the creepy guy hanging around there next to the tree. And this also works vertically. If I move downward, then it's going to move the tiles downward. And hey presto, there is the tree. And there is the bush. And if I move back in the other direction, then again, there is that guy hanging around by the tree. So I've got the implementation of my infinite scrolling world. It's not great, and the reason it's not great is because I haven't tweaked it and tuned it and gotten everything fixed around it. But let's talk a little bit about what exactly goes on here, because nobody's talking about this. I mean, I was looking around for people who were talking about this and maybe had a tutorial about it. There was nobody. So I had to build this all the way from scratch, and in order to build it all the way from scratch, you got to figure out what the fuck you're doing. So let me go over this because apparently nobody else has this. I'm not very happy with the layout of this. If we look over here on the side, you'll see I've got a main scene called Playfield, and inside it I've got just regular sprites for the ground, and all of these are set to regions. The important thing here is it's all based off the regions being enabled, and the size of the regions are all the same. Now you'll also see that the greeble, which is our bush, as you can tell from the texture over here, the greeble is a child of the ground that it's on. That's why it automatically moves when I move the ground. When I move the ground tile, all of the stuff that's a child of that node moves with it. Just like I've got the tree on ground 3 and on ground 2. These names are terrible, obviously. And here we've got ground 2, which, again, region is enabled, and the width and height are the exact same as ground 1. And in order to enforce this, what I do is when I go into the system, I've got all of my setup areas. I have the 4 ground tiles are stored in here, and I got some timing variables. We'll talk about the timing variables in a minute. But the first thing I do is I get the player node, and I store it over here as a player variable. So the playfield has a reference to the player, and I can easily jump in there and grab information that I need. Then I get the individual nodes for the 4 tiles. And the first tile, ground 1, I get the region rectangle. So this rectangle that actually has the region in it, I get that, and then I get its position as a vector location, okay? I get the region size to to save the tile width and height. And then I print those over here, and you can see right here I've got them printed. I've got 3840 and 2160. And then I immediately jump in after setting some vertical and horizontal edges. I make all of the regions match. I set the region rectangles for all of the terrain to the same thing. They're all region enabled. They all have a rectangle of 0, 0, 38, 40, 21, 60. And then I set their locations in a counterclockwise spiral. So G1, I leave where it is at 0, 0. And ground 2, I set up above that. Ground 3, I move immediately to the left of it, and then ground 4, I move it down. And that places the 4 of them, and now they're all located in known locations. They spiral around the origin of the map, and they're all set up with identical regions. And because everything's based off of the region, okay? If I just go into ground 1 and I reset the width and height of the region rectangle, it's automatically going to redo everything, so that's the size of my tiles. So for example, if I were to come in here and say, okay, let's do this in 1920 and 1080, okay? If I build this and then run it, you'll see that the regions are smaller. That I can move around them a lot faster. That delay in the tiles moving around, incidentally, is because when you come down here, once we've made all the regions match, placed them in a counterclockwise spiral, when we get into process, I do a check of the delta time, and I add it into a delay timer. And that delay timer has to get to a threshold. So I'm adding the delta into a delay variable, and I'm only checking the map every 2 seconds to see if the tiles are in the right place. If you make the tiles small, that's going to be shitty. But if you make them big enough, it's going to be fine. So essentially the way it's laid out is a quarter of the map on each edge is the threshold for loading the tiles in on the other side. And you can't cross the entire tile in 2 seconds, so there's no problem there. But what we end up with here is we have a number of different things that can be true. And essentially what we do to start off with is we check the order of the columns. And if the columns are in this order, then I move things around this way. And if the columns are in that order, I move them around that way. And it's all about checking whether the player has reached the vertical edge. If the player is too close to the vertical edge or the horizontal edge, then we just move everything in. And it's just with the set position command. That's really all we do. And it's fairly simple. There's nothing particularly difficult about it. It's just that, oh, where was it? Oh, yeah. I was going to put these back. It's fairly simple to just move the positions, but there's some stuff in here that can be interesting. And one of them is that if we have the columns in this order, it doesn't matter which it doesn't matter which row we base off of, so we can base both of the other columns off of just one object in the first column. So we don't have to do, go, okay, G4 is to the left of G1, but G3 is to the left of G2. We don't have to do that because G1 and G2 are stacked right on top of each other. So we just kind of enforce that by only using one item. Exhaustively going through all of these things and making sure it's all done effectively is probably the most time-consuming part of this. But you've only got 8 possibilities. You're about to go off the top edge, and these tiles are on top, or you're about to go off the top edge, and those tiles are on top, and then you have the same thing for the left edge, the right edge, and the bottom edge. You know, which tiles are supposed to be here? Let's put them there. And I'm not terribly happy with the code because it's fairly brain dead, but brain dead code is not bad, you know. And I'm thinking about potentially how to make this easier to read. But I'm not sure whether I want to spend any time on that just yet because, most importantly, all of this is so horribly organized that I'm going to have to rebuild it. It's not something that I'm going to keep in the final game. I'm going to keep the general concept, but I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to reorganize everything. It's not going to be named Ground 1, Ground 2, Ground 3, Ground 4, in all likelihood. And that refactoring depends on a couple of things that I want to verify. Like, I want to make sure enemies will continue to track across this stuff, and on top of enemies continuing to track across the tiles, I want to make sure that if there's an object that you can pick up on the tiles, I want to make sure that you can pick it up if you're next to the border. Like, if you're standing somewhere like here and there's an experience gem on the other side of the border, you should still pick it up. And I want to make sure I get that implemented appropriately. And I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that necessarily. But I'm kind of hoping it just handles itself. So, I don't know. I need to test that sort of thing. I need to get something you can pick up built into the game, and I need to have that code set up. I need to figure out pickup range and how things are picked up. Like, do they just automatically get picked up at that range, or do they scoot over to you to get picked up? I'm not sure which of those I want to do, but you know, there's good points and bad points to both of them. I am fairly happy with how this works, though. Because, like, if I go and I do this over here, then it manages to keep track of everything just fine. And I do like that. I do like that that it's managing to track everything. Obviously, I'm not going to have these all different colors when the game is released. That's not the way I want things to roll. But, yeah, I kind of... I have the scenario that I was looking for. I just need to figure out, number one, how big is my region going to be? I mean, how big should my region be? Do I need to alter the way that I do my my thresholds? Like, when you get to the margins of areas, is a quarter of the area good, or should I use something smaller? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's fairly obvious that we have to have the width of the viewport accounted for. Which kind of begs the question, how wide is the user's viewport going to be? Maybe I need these tiles to be like 16,000. I can experiment. I can figure stuff out. I want to get some AI on this enemy over here. I think that's going to be fairly cool. And in addition to getting some AI on that guy, I want to start building out the area on all of these. And have like some layouts, and see how well that fits together. I have no idea what to talk about this week. It's just been writing a bunch of code. I think part of it is that I'm all stuffed up and my brain's not working well because I'm sick. But you gotta show up, you know? You gotta show up and you gotta be there and try to make shit happen. I do really need to I really need to start making room for my art in this and taking time off of the development. Sit that over there. Got some coffee too, of course. One of the more frustrating things about building this is the way it's just not that clear how other people build these things. But one of the most important things about doing anything when you're writing code is to just go and try it. Go and experiment. You can see as I go through here, this is 1 and 2. The green one is 1, and the red one is 2. So you'll notice as I move up here, it will move 2 and 3 to top. You'll see that pop up in the window over there. So as I come up here toward the top, it'll move 1 and 4 to bottom. That's the opposite of what it's supposed to be doing. I mean, it's accurate, but yeah, did it move 2 and 3 to top and 1 and 4 to bottom? Move 2 and 3 to top, move 1 and 4 to bottom. One and 4 to top, 2 and 3 to bottom. Huh. That's interesting. So we're moving 3 and 4 to left and 1 and 2 to right on that. That just moves 1 and 2 to left. We didn't get a move 3 and 4 to left and a 1 and 2 to right. Yeah, but there again, we got 3 and 4 to left and 1 and 2 to right. It's doing double work on this. Move 3 and 4 to left. There we go. Let's see if that still works. Okay, so if I move upward, Move 1 and 4 to top. Move 2 and 3 to top. Okay. So that's working. Move 1 and 4 to top. Okay. Now we should get 1 and 4 to bottom, 2 and 3 to bottom. 1 and 4 to bottom. There we go. Just the one. 2 and 3 to bottom. Again, just the one. Then we'll get 1 and 4 to bottom again. 1 and 4 to bottom. Okay. Now we'll go over to the left. So we come over here, we'll see move 1 and 2 to left. That's what we should get. Now we should get move 3 and 4 to left. Yep, move 3 and 4 to left, and then we should get move 1 and 2 to left again. All right. So at this point, we should now be able to go back the other direction. Should get move 1 and 2 to right, move 3 and 4 to right, move 1 and 2 to right, and then we should get back to the beginning location. Move 1 and 2 to right. Then we'll get move 3 and 4 to right. Yep. And move 1 and 2 to right. Okay, so all of that is working. And we should, at that point, come back to our initial location. All right. That works. And I'm not very good company at all when I'm working on code. I just get bound up in it. I'm sitting here and I just keep thinking the delay should be something that's accounted for out of player information. Because if you look over here under player, we've got a base player speed. And the base player speed is basically how far you move in a second, and it's 300 pixels. So you move 300 pixels in a second. That means that if you're only checking every 2 seconds, then you need to check the map every 600 pixels plus the threshold, plus half the size of the viewport. Because in 2 seconds you can move 600 pixels straight up, and you'll be able to see half of the viewport. So that's what your threshold needs to be. And then you've got the issue of how fast can your player speed get up to? Like if your player can move 10 times as fast, now you've got 6,000 pixels. Maybe what if I don't do a what if I don't do a 2-second delay? I mean, the purpose of the 2-second delay is so that you can't do stuff like this. You can't get yourself right at the edge of where it comes in and just shuffle back and forth and make it shuffle the tiles in and out. Because I feel like that would be a performance issue. But that's a premature optimization. Like, do we need that? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I don't need to worry about it. So, you know what? What if we don't do that? What if we delay plus equals delta if delay greater than threshold, delay minus equals threshold? What if I just put that in its own thing and go if true? What if I just do that? How are the results going to be as a matter of that one? Let's save all scenes. Make sure all of our and we'll go to export project, Yandere survivors. Okay. Okay. So we'll finish that up, and then that will go out to the executable I have Steam set to run. So then I'll come up here and I'll open the Steam menu and I'll fire that up. And there we have that. And now we have gamepad support. And doesn't seem to be a problem at all. It may become one in the future, but right now it certainly isn't one. Everything seems fine. Got a rock solid 60 frames per second. And yeah, everything looks cool. All right. So we just won't bother with that delay. We don't need that. Premature optimization is the root of all evil. You put stuff in your way, it creates new problems. You have to solve those problems, and sometimes you don't need the optimization you put in the first place. I put it in expecting it would be a problem in the future, and it isn't a problem. So, you know what? I'm just going to pull all of that. And that should all build. And that should work just fine. Okay. And now if I go over to the side here, we should not get a flood of changes. It should just make the change once. Yep. Okay, yeah, we're working fine. Make sure it works top to bottom. And make sure it works left to right. And then we'll make sure it works bottom to top. That moves over there, and then we scoot up and There we have it. 2 to 3 to top. And then we have our bush that we can walk behind and walk in front of. And we have our tree that we can walk behind and we can walk in front of. Okay, yeah. All right, we seem to have everything we need on that. I don't feel like this. I don't feel like this episode, if it is an episode, was all that great. But yeah, we've got some stuff together. One of the things about development is most of the work is just not that interesting to look at. It's one of the reasons you don't try to go and do devlogs when your game looks like shit like this. Nobody cares about this game right now. Nobody's going to look at this game and go, oh yeah, that looks cool. I can't wait to play that. Nobody is in any way looking forward to playing this. Nobody thinks this looks cool. They're like, yeah, it's just another horde survival game. There's 8,000 of those. Nobody cares. And that's true. There's 8,000 of them and nobody cares. It's not until things start to look good and be fun that anybody actually cares about your game. There's nothing fun in here right now. It's interesting because I'm working on it and I'm trying to make everything fit together and work. But there's no fun. There's nothing fun to do in here. Nobody else is going to enjoy walking across the field and going, oh, wow, it's moved the yellow and green stuff up above the blue and red stuff. Oh, wow, it's going to move the blue and red stuff above the yellow and green stuff. Oh, wow, the tree and the bush are still there. Man, that's really cool. That's not really cool. That's fucking stupid. Nobody gives a shit. Why does anybody care about this? They don't. Nobody is going to care about your stuff until it starts to look like it's something they could enjoy. And that's hard to remember, and it's hard to deal with because you work on this stuff. If you're working on building something and you're having trouble and it's not easy, and nobody gives a shit about what you're building, it can feel like you're doing something that isn't worth the time and effort. You have to have faith that what you're building is worth the time and is worth the effort. And that at some point, it's going to start being something people are actually going to care about. It's going to take longer than you think. The thing I always try to do when I'm building a game, when I'm building any kind of software really, the first thing I want to do is I want to build all of the different individual systems that make it up. Like what I have right now, I have a player that you can move around on the screen. I have an object on the screen that you don't run into, that you don't collide with. You can walk right through it. I have an object on the screen that you can't walk right through, that you run into and it blocks you. And again, you can walk in front of it. You can walk behind it. I have an enemy that you can walk in front of and behind and that you run into. That enemy needs to have AI. Right now, it doesn't. It doesn't have any kind of quote-unquote brain. And I need to build items that you can pick up. I need to build items that you can destroy and that drop stuff, and I need to build items that you can pick up. Those are kind of like the next thing on the plate. The other two things I need to worry about. The thing that you can destroy and then it drops something. Well, that's really that's like an enemy with no AI, really. A chest is just an enemy with a move speed of 0. Still has a health bar. And the enemy is going to drop experience when you kill it. So when you kill the chest, it's going to drop an item. And then the item can be picked up. But yeah, chests and items, that's a thing that I need to work on. And once I start having all of the individual pieces, I can start snapping them together into larger and larger things. By decomposing everything into its component parts, you can take those component parts and you can make all kinds of stuff happen. But you need to build those fundamentals. And that's one of the things that's really frustrating, is because while you're building the fundamentals, your game looks like shit and it's not fun and nobody wants to play it. So here we are with a game that sucks and isn't fun, but it works. That's the important thing. It works. You have to build the thing. You have to make it work. So I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to keep making it work, and I'm going to keep adding more and more stuff to it. And a lot of that is learning the library. Learning your libraries is, that's probably the most critical thing for anybody to know. I should talk about that in Old Man Yapping this coming week. When you are building something, okay, the important thing is to build something that works so that you can make it work better. And a lot of people, when they're trying to build stuff, I have lost my train of thought. I have no idea what the fuck I was trying to say. That's really obnoxious. But yeah, when you build things, you have to build the pieces that you can snap together. I don't know what I was trying to say. It just entirely slipped my mind. That happens. I'm getting old. I'm getting senile. Not really. It happened to me when I was 22. What was I talking about? I was talking about... I do not remember. I'm a fucking idiot. Anyway, do the little YouTube dance. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell icon. All that happy horse shit. I showed up. You showed up. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you showing up. Showing up is 90% of everything. Yeah, that's it. Keep working on your stuff. Don't let other people tell you it's a waste of time and you shouldn't be doing it. Nobody's telling me that, but I've been told that so many times in the past that now I just kind of tell myself that every time I'm doing stuff. What a waste of time. You shouldn't be doing that. Fuck off. Anyway, I got some stuff to work on here that that I will be working on over the coming week. But I gotta work on my art. I gotta do some stuff on my art. I gotta try to shit. I gotta do some art shit, and I gotta do some game shit, and I gotta write on my Substack, and I gotta do my Old Man Yapping, and I gotta do all of that stuff. I don't know. God. I had so much shit to do, and I'm sick, and I don't feel good, and my voice is fucked. Anyway, thank you once again for showing up, and I will see you guys on Wednesday for my old man yap session. Okay, bye.